Hello everybody, I'm Kleidy, the coach of Team FNT. During the past few weeks we have worked on a very challenging and also interesting project. And I would like to thank our customers from FNT Software, Horst Haag and Werner Hoffmann. Our project leaders, Professor Brugge and Dominik Henze, thank you very much. And also all the team of developers for all the effort and commitment that they have put in during these weeks. And now I would like to invite Maria and Reddy to continue with the presentation and tell you more about our project. Maria?
Thanks, Kleidy. Our project deals with the issues that IT companies are facing a lot, which is the system design. And usually, how it happens is a client comes up with an idea. He might even think I will be the next Google, but then he does not know how to implement this, and he asks for help. The IT companies will then need a bit of time to implement that system. Well, actually not a bit. It might take quite a lot of time. The client is fine with that, but he wants to have the system as soon as possible. 9 days later, the client realizes that he actually wants to change the requirements. And here we have a huge problem because the IT companies need to start from the beginning. But imagine if we have the same scenario, but we can give the solution directly. So how would this work? The client first sets his first requirements. He wants a server and a database which can handle 500 users. The system will then add the components accordingly to the requirements. After that, he enters the second requirement. He wants the server to be secured. The system is then updated again. However, change is constant, and he thinks that this is, again, something's not wrong, and he thinks that it's too expensive. So there's another requirement, and we need to change our system again. So to generalize this approach, we need to define 3 terms. First of all, we have the meta model. The meta model is just a set of standard reusable components from which you can create your system. The release model is your created system already. However, it is not yet customized. It's general. The third term is the deployment model. And the deployment model is actually what meets the needs of a customer. So a customized system. How do we create a release model? We need to define 3 things. First of all, we define the components. Second, we define the configuration rules, which are the dependencies in between the components. And finally, we define the configuration parameters, which are used to basically customize the components. How do we create a deployment model? Well, here, that's where the user input comes in. This user input is then called the control parameters of our system. So further, I'd like to invite Reddy to explain the further slides. Reddy, are you ready? Born ready, he said.
In our approach, we normally have 2 users, so the release model creator and the release model user. As you might guess, the release model creator creates the release models, and these release models are then used by the release model user to build deployment models. The release model user can also deploy many different deployment models based on a single release model, but based on different user preferences. And what is actually a release model? The release model is based on the meta model. The meta model has the component as its basic building block, and the components can also be made up of other components. Also, configuration parameters, which are just attributes that define the component and have specific values. So how are the component structures set and how are the values of the configuration parameters set? This is done by the user while the user changes the control parameters, and these dependencies between components and the dependencies between components and the values for different configuration parameters are defined in the configuration rule, which normally change the component structure and also the value of configuration parameters. So to show you how this helps in real life, I invite you to watch our trailer.
I'm so tired of my job.
Good day, sir. What are we... Marcus, what are you
Oh,
doing
is it you,
here?
Jenny? What are you doing here?
Well, it's my restaurant.
Oh, you opened a restaurant after a PhD at TUM?
Yeah, and it has never gone better.
Oh, for me it's not going well right now.
Really?
I opened an IT company and the customers are changing their requirements for server application every day and
Oh,
I have to work
dear.
day and night.
Oh dear. Well, yeah, well, this sounds a bit like the problem that we had while designing the menu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like some customers want vegetarian dishes, some want non-dairy, and so on.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, but luckily FNT has helped us with this app,
So what kind of app?
the template engine.
What is it doing or?
Yeah, well, basically you can design anything with it, like a restaurant menu or an application server or whatever you like, really.
So you think it would work for me too?
Yeah, definitely. Just try it out.
Yeah, I think I go and try it out.
Yeah, but wait, you haven't paid.
It's outrageous. Oh, they just keep changing this. Oh, so how am I meant to fix all this in just one night? Where is Marcos, by the way?
Hi, Victor.
Hey, hi, Marcos. I hope you brought your mattress to work today.
No, I won't work tonight.
What do you mean you won't work tonight? How do you expect me to make all these changes?
You also don't have to work tonight.
Really? How is that possible?
I found a solution for our problem.
Okay.
It's the FNT initializer app. I'll
And?
show it to you, yeah? First I log in. Here you can see the release models.
Okay.
These are generic models which we can use for our problem. So first I created an example for us, FNT
Okay.
example.
Cool. I can see Marcos.
Here you can choose the criteria. First we just want a normal server.
Okay.
And here is the so-called deployment model created. And now the customer knows what he has to buy.
Okay, cool. So how does this work? I mean, how does the whole system work?
Yeah, okay, I go back. Come on. Here we have all the release models.
Okay.
These are created by me in the FNT Creator app, then stored in our database.
Okay.
Here we fetch them, and for example, this release model and the criteria we also defined in the FNT Creator app.
Okay.
So this time maybe we choose something else.
Everything?
Maybe everything, okay. So we choose everything, press compile. And now you see the model is way bigger. For example, we have 2 network connections.
Wow, this is cool. So that means I don't have to work tonight.
No,
yeah?
we don't have to work tonight.
Cool.
Come on, let's grab a beer.
Yeah, awesome.
As we saw in the trailer, as you might have guessed, we have 2 different apps in our system. Two simple apps with very powerful backend in it. Now, the first app is called the FNT Creator app. The FNT Creator app is used by the client to build release models based on the meta model. And after building these release models are sent to the model manager, which then stores them in a repository or even loads them for future editing. These models are then sent by the manager to the second app, which is called the FNT Initializer app. The FNT Initializer app reads user input and sends this input to the model manager as control parameters. The model manager then calculates the deployment model, which is the solution that the user wants based on the release model and the control parameters or user input that the user gave. After the calculation is done, the model manager then sends the calculated deployment model back to the FNT initializer, which then normally deploys and visualizes this deployment model for the user. This model can also be exported for further use by the user. So what is our status right now? Our client said that the FNT initializer is their top priority. That's why our work has started with it. So in our FNT initializer app, the app is now possible to create deployment models and also visualize the set deployment model. And the feature of exporting and sharing the set deployment model is still on the way. And the FNT in the FNT Creator app, we have created the meta model, which is the generic notation for building models. The features of creating set release models from the meta model and also passing them on to specific users are yet to be implemented. Thank you for your attention.
Hi. So since the customers couldn't join us today, but they are watching a live stream, they asked me to forward the question to you. So what was the most or the biggest challenge for you so far?
The biggest challenge was actually the problem statement, because the problem is really hard to concept and visualize, and the model is actually really abstract to build, because you normally need a big deal of abstraction to use this scenario in very different use cases.
Did Bernd's lecture help you?
I can't say no today.
Okay,
But yeah,
thank
sure,
you.
Of course.
Thank you.